Will everyone please rise for the invocation by the Reverend Meredith Cadet Sanderson of the Episcopal Diocese of New York and member of the class of 2004.
God be with you. Let us pray. Gracious God, all of this comes from you. This one precious life, the living of it, the sharing of it with one another. And we thank you, God, we do thank you for all the blessings of this life. We thank you for these students who will graduate today, for the families and communities who have accompanied them here, for those who will speak truth and speak hope today, for this institution which values truth and curiosity and justice, and for its leaders, its faculty and staff, and especially its president in his 50th year. God, we do thank you. But we ask of you yet more, God, because we are here with you as history turns. A world again near overcome by cruelty, falsehood, and fear. Be with these graduates, dear God, as history turns. Lift up their hearts. Guard them from self-betrayal. Let them never sell themselves or any of your people short. Fill their hearts with true courage. Make them willing to risk something big for something good. Awaken their memory. Help them remember that the world is now too dangerous for anything but truth. Stir their imaginations. Help them see that the world is now too small for anything but love. So that because of who they are and because of what they are willing to offer, God, we might then not despair of your peace and your justice in our time. A world that can yet be turned toward love, toward truth, humility, justice, mercy, goodness. Yes, a world that can yet be turned, for it is your hand that is at work in our history when our hearts are made steadfast in what is good and true by your grace. And so we ask all these things for your sake and for our own, for the sake of this world, which turns in your grace toward truth and toward love. Amen.
I'm going to try to be fast, but I'm short. I was inspired to take a moment by Andre 3000, who spoke at the Berklee School of Music on May 10th, to look at everyone in the eyes, to take the scene in, to feel the vibrations. He said he does that when he and his band come on stage. They look around. Props to Andre. Hi, y'all. I'm Jim from the ATL Chambers. I was counseled by the wiser than me to not come out and spew vulgarities. So instead, I just have to get this out. Before I can say anything, I have to get the pain out of my brain and get the slime out of my mind and say, my. The old nursery rhyme, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt, somehow seems obsolete. Now the mere mention of words and phrases causes apoplexy amongst the powerful. Think about that. Words and phrases are causing apoplexy amongst the powerful. What a truly strange, delusional time in which we find ourselves. Nothing says global leadership like prohibiting international students from entering our nation. So 2 Saturdays ago at about 9 a.m., I found myself in bed and the wall shaked. And I thought a house had blown up from a gas explosion. And then the walls and the ceilings and the floors and the bed and the pillows and the quilts all started quivering. And I thought to myself, the walls are shaking. I'm perceptive like that sometimes. And I thought to myself, we are having an earthquake in Atlanta, Georgia, well into the 4th month of the Agent Orange regime. So what words ran through my head? That's great. It starts with an earthquake, birds and snakes and airplanes, and Lenny Bruce is not afraid. Eye of a hurricane, listen to yourself churn. World serves its own needs. Don't misserve your own needs. And a government for hire in a combat suit with the Furies breathing down your neck. World serves its own needs. Listen to your heart bleed. Tell me with the rapture and the reverent and the right. You, vitriolic, patriotic, slam, fight, bright light, feeling pretty psyched. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It took me a long time to get here. From November 6th until now, May 24th. Took me a long time to feel fine. I'm from the South, the deep, complicated, scarred South. I was born in the 50s. I done seen this before. But now, like Mr. 3000 did a couple weeks ago, I'm looking out at the future, not the past. I'm looking out at achievement. I'm looking out at courage and creativity. One thing I can say with confidence is all y'all are now first responders in the fight against fascism and anti-intellectualism. Ooh, that's a big word, y'all. Don't go scaring people with them big words. Go ahead, scare them. Education and the pursuit of intellectual activities and the ability to discern good from bad, false from true, harm from health are all under attack, as we know. And y'all now are in the first line of defense against that. Our nation has intentionally been dumbed down for decades. All of y'all have intentionally smarted yourselves up. As Alice Walker said, America is afraid of its own history. Go ahead now, teach that history. Reveal that history. Use them big words. Use that music. Use that science. Use that business acumen. Use that dance and reveal that history. Our nation has intentionally been dumbed down for decades. All of y'all have intentionally smarted up. If the cap fit, let them wear it. What other words did I think to myself that Saturday morning of the trembling earth? Dei, Dei, the genitive case for the Latin word Deus, God. Dei means of God, and it is spelled D-E-I. Oh, that's a word or phrase that raises the hair on the backs of the rabid pit bulls. Dare I say it? Or should I whisper it? Diversity. First used in Middle English in the 14th century, formed from the Latin combination of dis, meaning away or apart, combined with the word vertere, to turn away from, to spin away from, to be different. It had its ups and downs of meaning. A negative meaning, perverseness, being contrary to what is agreeable or right. Conflict, strife, evil, existed in English from late 14th century, but was obsolete by the 17th century. Diversity as a virtue in a nation is an idea from the rise of modern democracies in the 1790s, where it kept one faction from abrogating all power. If the cap fit, let them wear it. Equality, late 14th century. Equalite, evenness, smoothness, uniformity, circa 1400, in reference to amount or number, from Old French, equalité, equality, parity, modern French, égalité, which form dates from the 17th century, from Latin, equalitas, equality, similarity, likeness, also sometimes with reference to civil rights. From equalis, uniform, identical. I have to say I love you, John Lewis, from my hood. Sticks and stones. And the clincher, the one that really seems to make that pit bull truly apoplectic, inclusion. The word inclusion originates from the Latin verb includare, which means to shut in, enclose, or insert. Includare is derived from the Proto-Indo-European root klehu, meaning key, hook, nail, indicating the concept of fastening or enclosing. Shut in or enclosed equally with those that are different. Oh my, those are terrifyingly bone-rearranging words. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Because you know what? Y'all and us and all the love that is in this tent is, dare I say it, W-O-K-E, woke. Don't tell anybody. Sleep is good. Sleep is good, but not when you're out to bed. They want us to sleepwalk into the past. The very act of your work and your teaching and your parenting and your loving is an act of raising consciousness. And if that ain't woke, I don't know what woke is. If the cap fit, let them wear it. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Because it's time to end that world and build a much better world. Equal, fair, loving world for all people. For all people, not just some people. The Declaration of Independence should be rewritten. Not all men are created, but all people are created equal. Imagine all the people living life in peace, with habeas corpus, without brutality, without kidnapping, without violence. We cool. I give you all, everyone included in this tent, everyone included in this campus, everyone in buildings and grounds and maintenance and food service and security and gardening and teaching and management and learning and parenting and loving, the greatest congratulations I can offer. And just like Mr. 3000 said, I'm happy for y'all. I'm happy and honored to be here to celebrate a good day. I saw it in the early graduation of the Afghan, Russian, and Ukrainian students as Hamdam I see it in BPI. I see it in BSEC. I see it in all the schools and campuses that Bard helps to educate. As Hamdam Farouk said this morning, quote, I could not be a bystander. I like to feel the consequential reality of trees, of wood. That's why I brought my stick. Of Mama Earth. Yes. 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 I like nature, and I like nurture. And that, in its complexity, is what I feel today back home in Annandale. That is what I know had to be here for your journey in some way or another. You were nurtured, or you nurtured each other, and you nurtured yourselves to arrive here today. Perimoha, victory over insurmountable odds. Ideas evaporate, write them down. That's what my mama taught me. Go forth with the greatest art and ardor and passion and kick some ass. Go soar like Dr. J in the Rucker League. Go coach like Pop, appointing Becky Hammonds the first female lead assistant coach in American professional sports history. Go play like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Go invent like Laszlo Bito. Go plant things, go make things, go grow things. Dei of God, let us be. Dei, whatever that means to you, of God. Do not be bystanders. Resist, resist, resist. Celebrate. Thank you. Congratulations, class of 2025. Go kick some ass. But wait. I have the double honor of giving our president, Leon Botstein, the serious and deep respect for what you do, for what you have done, what you will do, and who you are. You are definitely the GOAT, and I do not mean that in an animalistic way. I mean it in greatest of all time. Check this out, y'all. It is really hard to fathom this. This is number 50 for Leon, his 50th commencement in a row. It is my uniquely distinct honor to announce that for the next year, we will be celebrating this Olympian achievement, and for the next 50 years, we will be marveling at his epic achievement. It ain't gonna happen again. You are the Shohei Ohtani of our age. I give you, on his 50th charge, the greatest of all time, Leon, our friend and mentor, President Botstein.
Thank you, Jim. And when Jim arrived here on campus 50 years ago, I think his initial ambition was to be a classics major.
True that.
and it stuck with you. I want, first of all, to explain that in your book, the benediction, the invocation was going to be given by Matthew Hyde, the Bishop of New York, and it's clear that our alumna is not Matthew Hyde and not the Bishop of New York. But when a member of his family took ill, he asked for Meredith Cadet Sanderson to take his place. And she is a graduate of the class of 2004. And she is, interestingly enough, the rector of St. James in Hyde Park, which is the family church of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who is a trustee of Bard College. So I want to say thank you very much for stepping in. Before we go any further, I want to extend to the entire class of 2025 my deepest congratulations. A hand for the class of 2025. To give you some idea of who the class is, I'd like all members of the class who are first-generation recipients of degrees in higher education to stand. First generation. Jim mentioned the sanctuary graduation this morning, and I'd like all of you who are members of the sanctuary class, students from Afghanistan, Ukraine, and Russia, to stand. I'd like you to keep the sanctuary students keep standing, because I want to ask all students who have come to Bard, not from the United States, but from countries and places outside of the United States, in the group we call international students, to stand. Now, as you know, there are friends and families of these students here. We calculated that some people who are with us today, whom I want to welcome, have traveled more than 8,000 miles to be here today. To honor their friends and family who are graduating, who come from outside of the United States. All those of you who are BPI graduates, the Bard Prison Initiative graduates, please stand. of you who are graduates all of you who are graduates of the early colleges, the BARD back program for adult students, and of the micro colleges, please stand. Now, the last group I have never called to stand up, but a little variety never hurts. All of those of you who are graduates who have been members of BARD's intercollegiate sports teams, stand up. So this is a day to celebrate every individual in this class. That makes this a very long afternoon. A very long afternoon. Because we, unlike other institutions, have not given up the tradition of handing each and every one of you a degree that you've earned with your faculty present and friends and families, whom I welcome here today. And that takes time. And it's an academic ceremony, so there's an endless amount of speaking, most of which no one ever remembers, but it's part of the ritual. So I suggest you settle in. I know the seats aren't the most comfortable, but most of our lives are boring, and this is definitely a different day. So be patient. We apologize, but there's nothing we can really do about it. I have a couple of pieces of advice. Please, if you happen to have a relative or friend whose last name begins with an A, and they get their degrees early, don't leave. In other words, there is something about this last day for the class of 2025 that is a kind of community. And we are all here to bear witness to their achievement. If it's done in private with nobody watching, it loses part of its meaning. So stay to the very end, even though you have no vested personal interest in any of the graduates after the person you came here to witness. So I ask you to stay to the very end. We love to have company, and it does celebrate the class and the community, both for the graduate students and the undergraduates. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all the people that made this day possible. The faculty, the staff, buildings and grounds and environmental services, and the most maligned part of our community, the food service. There is no invisible hand here. People are devoted to this place and have been devoted for decades, have made our lives possible and helped you to get to where we are today. I want to thank the friends, the trustees, the benefactors of the college, whose primary philanthropy is to permit these students to attend in the first place. 80% of them receive financial aid from private sources and from the government. We all have complaints. We all recognize the imperfection, this college included. But this is a time for us to express affection and gratitude to all the people that help us do what we do and all the people that have helped you accomplish what you have accomplished. So let's have a good time, long as it may be. Now, one of the painful parts of a commencement ceremony is repetition. People will say the same thing over and over. And there's no problem with that. And it's something that never changes. And in this case, in 2025, it's impossible to avoid the fact that this ceremony takes place in an unprecedented context of an assault on higher education in the United States. An assault from the federal government, which threatens the entire system of colleges and universities. And it is an anti-intellectual and discriminatory and unconstitutional effort to break the back of independent institutions of learning. So the proposition is simple. These robes, so these are robes from Harvard University. Now, I've never always been proud of Harvard. I have my difficulties with it. It's snobbery, it's arrogance, it lived in its own world of impregnable power. And one thing that's made clear is that it is incredibly vulnerable. And unlike some other universities, it has stood up to the efforts of the federal government. And I'm singularly proud to wear the robes. I even have a Harvard bow tie on, which is going very far indeed. But the point I want to make is that what is happening in this country is the exact opposite of the rhetoric of making America great. Exact opposite. This government, by promoting an attack on science, the search for truth, on scholarship, threatens actually to destroy our economy, to retard progress in medicine and science, to accelerate climate change, and threaten our health and safety. It is compromising the freedom of speech, and it promotes censorship. There's nothing patriotic about this effort, especially since it is combined with a serious oligarchical kleptocracy. Now, if you think I'm making this up, I want to point out two things. I served for 30 years on the board of the Central European University in Budapest, was its chair for 15. And we had direct dealings with Viktor Orban. We had for 25 years an undergraduate liberal arts college inside the University of St. Petersburg, and we dealt directly with Vladimir Putin. The playbook that is being played out here by our government is that playbook, and it leads to autocracy and to tyranny. Now, the real danger, and this is the tricky part, is that if we accept it, or we withdraw, or we try to ignore it, we try to live with it, we become like that which we hate. We become intolerant. We become prone to disrespect, to using vulgarity in language, to denying truth, to enforce conformity. We become the mirror image of our own oppressor. There's no way, by letting this go on, to prevent ourselves from being infected by the behavior, the absence of respect for truth, for complexity, and for the manipulative mannerisms of the current government. So it forces us, in a disciplined way, to resist conforming and adapting to that which is both illegal and wrong. So this ceremony has one purpose in this year of 2025, and that is to bear witness to our shared sense of humanity, our common sense of unity, our dedication to freedom and to justice, and to the absence of violence, to our commitment that speech, reason, and language can create a world of harmony and justice. And we will not sink to the depths of those whom we unfortunately freely elected as our federal government. I am proud of all the faculty and staff at Bard and the trustees who've supported our commitment to stand on the side of education, excellence, and the life of the mind as an essential basis of democracy. It is in that spirit that we invited our commencement speaker. The problem is that Michel Pierre-Louis lives in Haiti, and Haiti is a place completely dominated by violence, by factional fighting, gangs who are in the control of political leaders, operating on schemes, that 90% of the weaponry that is a constant factor in the daily life of every Haitian are manufactured in this country. And the victims are always innocent. And the constant paramilitary threat made it impossible for Michel Pierre-Louis to leave Haiti and her family safe. There was no logistical or justifiable way for her to take the risk. She is a pioneer in the struggle for democracy. You can read her biography in the Red Book, which accompanies this ceremony. I'm pleased to say that Patricia Benoit, filmmaker, Haitian filmmaker, now in America, and who has made films on the life and the culture of Haiti, has agreed to read the speech that Michel Pierre-Louis wrote and to accept the degree in absentia. So I want to express my gratitude to Patricia, and she fits in perfectly. She's a filmmaker, and something we cherish. And without further ado, I now introduce you Patricia Benoit, who will read the speech written by Michel Pierre-Louis.
Mr. President, dear faculty, dear parents, dear graduating students, distinguished guests and honorees. Last October, I received a letter from President Leon Botstein informing me that I was selected to receive an honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters at the college's 165th commencement. I was overwhelmed with joy and pride, and my letter of response expressed how honored I was. I began to imagine the event and started to foresee and plan, while at Bard, preliminary arrangements were handled by Ms. Stetson. However, I had not anticipated what happened next in November 2024. Continuing gang violence escalated and forced the closing of Port-au-Prince Airport to international flights, isolating the country once again. The situation continues to be volatile. The ongoing violence threatens my home and those of colleagues and loved ones. This is why I'm not here with you today. I thank my friend, filmmaker Patricia Benoit. She wouldn't let me delete that. I live in Haiti, Haiti. I am Haitian, and I am very proud to be Haitian. Just over 200 years ago, the Haitian Revolution challenged the superpowers of the time: France, Great Britain, Spain, and the United States. The message from our side was clear. 500,000 Black, previously enslaved people won a war against Napoleon's army and abolished slavery, colonialism, and racism, thus declaring to the world that they belong to a common human condition. The world order at the time rejected the claims and sought to undermine this new republic. They considered it a threat to their interests and to the racist ideology of the times. These superpowers launched a formidable campaign against Haiti, attempting to delegitimize the country, culturally and politically. This translated into a systematic claim of the inferiority of the other by negating their human dignity. Measures were taken to isolate and to economically cripple our fledgling nation, a lasting and pervasive set of conducts that persists today. Haitian scholar Michel Rolph-Trouillot, professor at the University of Chicago, studied how the Western powers failed to acknowledge the only successful slave revolt of modern times in his anthropological study of the Haitian Revolution, whose title says it all: Silencing the Past, Power and the Production of History. Today, Haiti is once again living a tragedy in the Greek sense of the term. We experience conflicts, terror, betrayal, cruelty, fear, hate, compromise, passion, but also compassion, resistance, empathy, solidarity, and hope. We are still working on finding the most constructive moral to our current story, a moral that would help us define the fate of our country. Exactly a month ago, Professor of Politics Jonathan Becker invited me for the 4th time to participate in his class on civic education. It was an honor, and I decided to speak about the ethics of care. We discussed its constitutive elements: attention, responsibility, competence, and responsiveness, all of which relate to consideration of the other. It was wonderful to listen to the students' questions and to recognize their understanding based on their own experiences. Across the oceans, while historical and cultural environments may be different, students from Myanmar, Afghanistan, Congo, Haiti are experiencing similar conditions of violence. How can civic engagement mitigate these effects? I explained how my colleagues and I have helped communities of artists whose workshops were ransacked to relocate safely, smallholder farmers to continue to produce, and a few displaced families to find solace in my home. I had in mind then what I often tell my own students: sapere aude, osez savoir, dare to learn, use your own reasoning, and always uphold a sense of our common humanity. And this leads me to you, the graduating students of Bard College, who today celebrate a new beginning. I still have fond memories of my own years in college, though a very long time ago. I believe it will be the same for you. As a distinctive liberal arts institution, Bard demonstrates how studies in philosophy, history, languages, and the arts are at the intersection of its commitment to civic education, civic engagement, and an openness to the world. At the heart of this process is the development of critical thinking. That is, the capacity to read and to integrate new ideas, thereby constructing a body of knowledge that challenges the prevailing doxa and creates a new narrative, a new imaginary. The complexity of our time makes this process more urgent as we are confronted with an oversimplified and destructive alternate reality, alternate truths, and alternate facts. I wish you all to remain lifelong learners. I also want to thank your parents, your professors, and the entire staff of this very special institution for their patience, their assistance, their attention, their love, and their joy on this day of academic accomplishment. I would like to conclude this brief comment by a heartfelt homage to President Leo Botstein, music conductor, historian, cultural leader, and prominent intellectual figure, whose 50 years of extraordinary service to education makes him the longest-serving college president in the United States. Thank you, President Botstein. I want to reiterate how honored I am to be recognized here. Thank you to all of you for your attention. I wish you the very best. And once again, congratulations to the graduating class of 2025.
Do all of you have this red book? Okay. So if you turn to the, I think, page 4, actually from page 2, you will, especially as you watch people graduate, you can read the awards that we gave last night to alumni of the college and others that we give every year. and also the Bardian Awards, which are reserved for faculty who've retired after many years of service. And I want certainly to recognize Peter Filkins, Mark Halsey, Peter Lockey, Bradford Morrow, and Melanie Nicholson. After that come the bios of the honorary degrees, but I'm going to break with tradition, and I'm going to ask one of our honorees, turn to page, I think this is page 7. So I'm going to ask Sasha Skochilenko to say a few words to you. She is a Bard graduate who graduated from Smolny, our collaborative program in Russia, which was closed down by Putin in the run-up to the war in Ukraine. She was arrested and imprisoned, and then released in the prisoner exchange between Russia and the United States. I'm glad she came to get her award yesterday, and I ask her to come forward to say a few words to the graduating class of 2025.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to see you here, and I'm deeply honored by the fact that I have an opportunity to tell you the speech which I was creating during my enjailment. I was fantasizing in my hardest time that I am standing in some warm and cozy and friendly place, and I'm giving a speech to some academic society about how a bachelor degree on liberal arts and sciences helped me throughout the jail. And it's more than that, because I'm giving this speech directly to my alma mater. So these are statements from my speech. So, thanks to the liberal arts and sciences, I had really multidisciplinary knowledges, and I was able to engage into communication, people with a different types of interest and with different statuses from different social layers, because I was able to speak almost on every subject. And so that's how we bond, and that's how I involved in my media company people, because they felt this personally. So I also finished the program on sociology and anthropology, so I knew something about people, about society, about minorities, about how institutions and jail facilities are working. So I used that knowledges to survive there. And also, I immediately turned out my enjailment into tremendous performance, just to be interesting for people, just to evoke interest in them for the repression, for my case, for the war with Ukraine. And I was able to speak different languages, speak different discourses, and which are belonging to different people. So I was able to create a large symbolic meaning of my performance, because for protesters, I was a poster rebel girl, though I'm 34. So for intellectuals, I was Antigona, and for religious people, I was a martyr, and for everyone else, I was just a friend. So I could use these languages just in one speech. And, I immediately gained a big status in a jail community because I always had a story to tell. And, in jail, people know that a good story is better than a good film. So, and liberal art and sciences education made me a great storyteller because of all the literature courses I've heard. And more, we didn't have many lections in Smolny like you do. We had seminars, so we could talk all the academic day through. So I was prepared to give speeches, to speak publicly, and not be too afraid to speak my heart. And the last, but not the least, Smolny taught me to write because, they almost tortured us with writings. We were writing like very fast, and we were writing like many texts. I think you know this thing. And Bart not only taught me to write, but I was taught to use power of words, because I was kind of prepared for giving speeches like this, which could even change people's minds. So, and nowadays I find these knowledges very useful. And you see, your knowledges that you got from here, from Bart, that really, really useful, especially in a times and crisis like this. So please treasure it, save it, convey it, and most of all, don't be afraid to use it. Use it, please.
It is both tragic and ironic that on page 6 of this red book, you will read the biography of our alumnus Bobo Nej from the class of 2004, who now sits in jail in Myanmar for his independence and courage as a public servant of the short-lived democracy in that country. I now would like to recognize James Chambers, from 81, the chair of our board, and Omar Encarnacion, the Charles Flint Kellogg Professor of Politics, who will present the honorary degree to Michel Duvier-Pierre-Louis.
President Weinstein, I have the honor of presenting Michel Duvivier-Pierre-Louis in absentia as a candidate for an honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. Accepting on her behalf is Patricia Bonois. Can we read it again?
Yeah, do it again.
Absolutely. President Botstein, I have the honor of presenting Michel Duvivier-Pierre-Louis in absentia as a candidate for an honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. Accepting on her behalf is the Honorable Michel Duvivier-Pierre-Louis, is Patricia Bonois.
Michel Duvivier Pierre-Louis, Doctor of Humane Letters. We honor you, Michel Duvivier Pierre-Louis, for your steadfast faith in the possibility of a better future for Haiti. Despite disasters, natural and man-made, you have worked to improve security, encourage sustainable agriculture, lift up young entrepreneurs, and develop infrastructure. You continue to shape Haitian culture and politics.
Because the college was founded in the 19th century, we do this in Latin. So the citation granting the degree reads like this: Auctoritate mihi commissa, te ad gradum in literis humaniboribus doctoris admitto, omniaque jura ac privilegia atum gradum pertinentia tibi concedo, et in testimonium hoc diploma tibi solemne trado. Congratulations. So we give honorary degrees because we try to reflect back on the graduating class the highest ideals of the things that you are interested in and that you work on. And in the case of the first honorary degree, it's not only public service, but also economics. Now we turn to the second degree, and I recognize Kimberly Marteau Emerson, Bard College trustee, and Gideon Lester, the director of the Fisher Center and professor of theater and performance, to present the next honorary degree.
President Botstein, I have the honor of presenting Justin Vivian Bond as a candidate for an honorary degree of Doctor of Fine Arts.
Justin Vivian Bond, Doctor of Fine Arts. We honor you, Justin Vivian Bond, or as she likes to be called, Viv, as a performer, artist, teacher, writer, and activist in Bard's theater and performance program and Fisher Center's Spiegeltent. You have realized the power of play. As an activist at the forefront of the struggle for trans visibility and equality, you have inspired us to fight our way to beauty.
So to Justin Vivian Bond, I say, auctoritate mihi commissa, te ad gradum in artibus eleganto toribus doctoris admitto, omniaque jure ac privilegia, ad un gradum pertinentia tibi concedo, et in testimonium hoc diploma tibi solemne trado. Congratulations. I now ask Tom Eccles, the Executive Director of the Center for Curatorial Studies in the Hessel Museum, who will present Maya Hoffman for the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
President Botstein, I have the honor of presenting Maya Hoffman as a candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
We honor you, Maya Hoffman, for your visionary and transformative support of the arts and your commitment to preserve our environment. The The work of the Luma Foundation throughout the world, especially in Arles, is a model of philanthropic vision that benefits all your fellow citizens. BARD is proud to be among the art institution and education institutions and individuals that benefit from your commitment to the arts, the ideal of sustainable design, and environmental conservation. Congratulations. Auctoritate mihi commissa teat gradum in literis humaniboribus doctoris admitto omniaque iure ac privilegia ad gradum petitentia tibi concedo et in testimonium hoc diploma tibi solemnita trado. Congratulations. I now invite James A. Klemper, trustee of the college, and Gregory Moynihan, associate professor of history, who will present Joseph Yoffe for the honorary degree.
President Botstein, I have the honor of presenting Joseph Joffe as a candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
From your birth in a bunker in Lodz, Poland, in the last days of World War II, you have become an eloquent voice for democracy, freedom, and the American-European alliance. Your commitment to democracy in America and higher education in America in the post-war and post-communist world have taught us that only the United States can bring down the United States.
Auctoritate mihi commissa teat gradum in literis humaniboribus doctoris admitto omniaque iura ac privilegia ad gradum petitentia tibi concedo et in testimonium hoc diploma tibi solemniter trado. Congratulations. I now recognize Roland Augustine, trustee of the college, and Tanya Marcuse, associate professor of photography, who will present Cindy Sherman for the honorary degree.
President Botstein, I have the honor of presenting Cindy Sherman as candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Fine Arts.
We honor you, Cindy, for your art, your originality and authenticity, your interrogations of selfhood within broader human existence, your ability to constantly reinvent yourself, and your unique vision have made you one of the most significant and influential artists of our time. Congratulations, Cindy.
Auctoritate mihi commissa teat gradum artibus elegantoribus doctoris admitto omniaque iura ac privilegia ad gradum petitentia tibi concedo et in testimonium hoc diploma tibi solemniter trado. Congratulations. I now recognize Charles Johnson, class of 1970, trustee of the college, and Brooke Jude, associate professor of biology, who will present Yaron Tomer for the honorary degree.
President Botstein, I have the honor of presenting Yaron Tomer as candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Science.
So we honor you, Yaron Tomer, as a leader in your field of endocrinology and as the dean of one of the most respected and progressive medical and research institutions in the United States. You have published more than 200 papers and book chapters and authored 4 patent disclosures through your research. You possess an unwavering commitment to fostering the careers of future medical practitioners and scientists. Your leadership in medicine is now vital more than ever.
Before I read the citation, I want to point out that under Yaron Tomer's leadership, we have developed a partnership for the Bard High School Early College in the Bronx with the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Actoritate mihi commissa te ad gradum in scientis doctoris admitto, omniaque iure ac privilegia ad hunc gradum petitentia tibi concedo, et in testimonium hoc diploma tibi solemniter trado. Congratulations. So we delay the giving of the degrees to the class of 2025 as long as we possibly can. And the time-honored tradition is for a person in my position to give some kind of final charge. It derives from a religious tradition of sermonizing, which rarely does any good, and people rarely remember what anybody said. So I'm going to do my best here to the class of 2025. I wish I had better news for you, but you don't need reminding that the world you're entering is unprecedented, particularly for those of you who live in the United States. So I can borrow the old cliches or use some new ones. So I'm going to give you 10 pieces of advice. The first is think and speak independently. Invent your own language and your own way of saying what you think, and don't borrow slogans, code words, cliches. My favorite terrible cliches are the way generations are talked about in the newspaper. Gen X, millennial. It's so pseudo-knowledge, like most of what you read online. So my advice is be skeptical, find your own words, your own rhetoric, and your own sound. Second piece of advice. So rely on evidence. Don't assume everything you hear about is true. So let me give you my favorite current example. So I'm going to take this from a page from Homer. So you remember the Trojan horse? You know what the Trojan horse was? Oh yeah, okay. So a Trojan priest of the name Laocoon tried to tell his people that this wasn't a gift from the Greeks. That's why beware Greeks bearing gifts. But it was actually a trap, and it would lead to the destruction of their city. So we are now facing a kind of Trojan horse argument in our own country. The President of the United States would like to tell you that his assault on higher education is to protect the Jews of America and to fight anti-Semitism. And as a Jew in the American community, I can think nothing more false and nefarious than that claim. He is doing exactly what princes, dukes, and kings did to Jews in the 18th century. And those that follow along are like court Jews. It feeds into the most nefarious of all conspiracy theories, that everything is controlled by the Jews. So, as a result, the demolition of Harvard and Columbia is whose fault? The Jews. So, interrogate the difference between false things and true things. The third thing I would say is don't simplify. Don't simplify. There are, like Occam's razor, there are various ideas of simplification, but some simplifications don't work. That things are complex and ambiguous. One simplification is all what you read about our politics. The America we face now is the result of 40 years of neglect of income inequality. Of allowing people to lose meaningful work, to let cities rot. And this was done by presidents long before Donald Trump. And we tolerated what is now an unbearable gap between the rich and the poor. So there is no doubt that you need to look at what is told to you by the media and on the internet with an idea that things aren't quite so simple. The fourth piece of advice is to listen. Listening is an art. Particularly, you should listen to the people who don't agree with you. You should listen to people who have different ideas. And from my point of view, you should listen to whatever music you like. Don't live without music. My fifth piece of advice is resist all forms of corrosive violence. Obviously, physical violence, hurting people, but shouting at people, humiliating people, hurling curses, epithets. Don't do it. There's no reason to. You will improve no one's life by doing it. And if you hate someone and you think someone is wrong, shouting at them will not improve the chances that you might be able to change their mind. My sixth piece of advice is don't give in to fear. Don't get into fear. Give in to the idea that you're in danger. Yes, I say this to all our students from countries not in the United States. And we will protect every student and every staff member who has some kind of vulnerability from the point of view of the ICE and immigration services of this country. The image of our government employees arresting a totally innocent individual off the street who was a student at Tufts is the most exact picture of what fascism and totalitarianism does. So I will tell you just a personal story from my parents' life. When my mother was pregnant with my older brother in 1941, her Swiss colleagues in the medical school, she was a professor in the medical school in Zurich, said to her, "How can you bring a Jewish child into this world only for that child to be killed?" And she said, "This is my only way of expressing the hope that we will escape the danger." And that child did, my older brother. No matter how bleak, and you heard it from the speakers here today, there is reason for hope. Resist fear, because fear leads to cowardice and to self-censorship. My seventh piece of advice is always keep a sense of irony. Don't overdo seriousness and smile how things don't always turn out the way they're supposed to. And don't be afraid of making mistakes. I have made more mistakes than not. The only way you can do something right is by making mistakes. I had a friend, I know nothing about this, but I had a friend who had a cartoon of Babe Ruth. You know who Babe Ruth was? Yeah, okay. And on the cartoon it said, Babe Ruth struck out 4,700 times. What do we remember him for? 60 home runs. My eighth piece of advice is don't give in to envy. Don't envy somebody else. It won't do you any good. You will not benefit. Now, you can emulate somebody. You can say, we musicians do it all the time. We look at somebody and say, they can do that. Holy, that's great. I'm going to learn how to do that because that impresses me. I don't envy the person because the envy of the person will not make me know how to do it. Emulate, don't envy. And because you went to college here, the ninth piece of advice is easy to follow. You will never and should never have an excuse to be bored. Boredom leads to envy, leads to violence and discrimination, to blaming other people for your life. So it's easy not to be bored. And I think, watching a lot of Netflix is boring. And it's doing something, making something. Sing, write, dance, paint, take photographs. Read. Not only a short book, but a big one. And you won't be bored. So value excellence. Go to an exhibit, some new art. Whatever you do, you have no reason to be bored. And my 10th and final piece of advice is remember your teachers. Remember their qualities and their care. remember this college and stay true to the link between education and democracy and freedom. With those 10 pieces of advice, I congratulate the class of 2025. I'd like we're now getting into the business of giving degrees. So, the worst is over. I would like to introduce for the graduate degrees, Christian Crouch, the Dean of Graduate Studies and Associate Professor of History, who will present the graduate degrees.
Before we begin the presentation of graduate degrees, please note that all candidates have completed the requirements for their degrees as prescribed by the State of New York and by the faculty and trustees of Bard College. I will present the candidates in alphabetical order, program by program. In the interest of time, I will not be reading the names of those members of the class of 2025 unable to join us today, but all candidates are listed in the program in recognition of their accomplishments. President Botstein, I have the honor of presenting members of the Bard Graduate Center class of 2025 for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Decorative Arts, Design History, Material Culture. Erin Elise Eisenbarth. Sarah Louise Scaturo. Amanda Thompson. Leonie Trea.
So to the 4 recipients of the PhD from Bard, I say, actortata mi commissa vos ad gradum philosophae doctoris in artibus decorantibus historia decoris cultura materiali admito, omniaque jura ac privilegia hatum gradum petitentia vobis concedo et in testimonium hoc diploma vobis solemniter trado. Congratulations to our PhD recipients.
I now have the pleasure of presenting the master degrees, beginning with the Bard Graduate Center Master of Arts in Decorative Arts, Design History, Material Culture. Maya Rose Bailey. Lauren Bolts. Nicolas Catalan. Allegra Emma Chapman. Ev Christie. Anna Van Lenten Crowley. Nishta Dani. Daniela Diaz Blancarte. Lucy Haskell. Beatrix Henry. Jacqueline Mack. RJ Maupin. Michael McCory. Clara Murphy. Abigail Lynn Kazarian Myers. Ilana Rose Neer. Brielle Pizzala. Keelan Pogue. Vega Shaw. Janelle Williams. The Milton Avery Graduate School of the Arts, Master of Fine Arts, Jasmine Amundsen. Alima Lee Jennings. Sarah Kinlaw. Anya Mak Gilavrija. Lucia Riesig. Geetha Turairaja. Grace Villamil. The Bard Center for Environmental Policy, Master of Science in Environmental Policy. Stephen Olumide Akindepe. Vera Lovey. Michael Brian O'Hora, Jr. Brendan Thomas Walsh. The Bard Center for Environmental Policy, Master of Science in Climate Science and Policy. Jessica Colleen DuPont. Bashir Ahmed Al-Samani Al-Faki Al-Hassan. Fatima Oliva. Milana Pakes. Salome Rogers. The Bard Center for Environmental Policy, Master of Education in Environmental Education. Nina Amira Matthews. The Bard Center for Curatorial Studies and Art in Contemporary Culture, MA in Curatorial Studies. Zura Amina. Hayoung Chung. Omar Farah. Matthew Lawson Garrett. Cicely Haggerty. Leica Jundiala. Ariana Kalisha. Do Tuong Lin. In absentia. Audrey Min. Sibia Sarangan. Andrew Suggs. Michaela Vindman. Charlotte Euclid. And Jun Ming Chung. The Master of Arts in Teaching program in Annandale, Master of Arts in Teaching, Kirsten Bamford. Frank Bransley. Thomas Grant Farrell. Gaius Forsyth. Amy Lee Gallagher. Jillian Lazarus. Noelle Francis Lawson Mitchell. Biz Osborne Schwartz. Quincy Ross. Cedric Rule Becker. Catherine Sarfati. Nicholas Albert Justina Susi. Elena Rose Paz Thompson. Maya Tyrone Goring. Ella Unal. The Graduate Vocal Arts Program, Master of Music in Vocal Arts, Joseph Breslau. Nisha Patel Kayotsi. Jacqueline Francis Hopping. Jacob Asia Hunter. Megan Helene Maloney. Georgia Ioana Perdiculius. Nicole Victoria Rizzo. Sam Day Warshauer. The Graduate Conducting Program, Master of Music in Conducting, Hunter Christina James Kyler. Nicolas Andres Gomez Amin. Alexander Terpkosh. the Bard Master of Business Administration in Sustainability. Hector Aguirre. Saki Ataye. Sarah Bergman. Kirsten Brodeen. Ana Luisa Freza. Stacy Michelle Jewell. Mai Kaya Kruvy. Elizabeth Kushila. Elena Lee. Quinton MacDonald. Shelby Mack. Erin Louise Onofrio Mullaney. Lauren Mathis. Liana Megan Morrissey. Megan McCaffrey. Hein Tet U. Milana Hakes. Sasha Purrier. Janine Ryman. Sophie Rogers. Sarah Frances Ross. Lindsay Rossi. Tony Skidmore. Michael Tapia. Kendall Thompson. Patricia Ann Travis. Stephanie Walker. Robin Wells. Jason Wood. The Levy Economics Institute, Master of Science in Economic Theory and Policy. Jacob Samuel Meglio. The Levy Economics Institute, Master of Arts in Economic Theory and Policy. Jonathan Robert Bunn. Joseph Nicosia. Lazaros Panagiotounis. The Orchestra Now, Master of Music in Curatorial, Critical, and Performance Studies. Victoria Boel. Maria de los Angeles. Chung Wei Ashley Lim. Enikur Samu. Suyi Sun. The Master of Arts in Global Studies. Jasmine Ahmed. Sara Alkabaj. Yulia Balan. Elena Esser. May Tinsa Kain. Zin Yu Cho. Nekruz Mirzoyev. Juan Moncaliano. Fiona Kathleen Nicholson. Abdul Jamil Omari. Yetunde Hillary Chibuka Peters. Eve Sanchez. Fani Laura Solici. Jules Van Dyke. The Center for Human Rights and the Arts, Master of Arts in Human Rights and the Arts. Sadia Bonita Ahmed Abuzant. Sara Al Yahya. Amr Aimer. Ellie Arden. He Piu Au. Miguel Ángel Castañeda Barahona. Arina Peshnichunaya. Mauro Tozzarelli. The Bard, U.S. China Music Institute, Master of Arts in Chinese Music and Culture, Jin O Anastasia Dong. Lucina Yu Chao. The Instrumental Arts Program, Master of Music in Instrumental Studies, Tori Connor. Chung Yang Francis Huang. Jalen Mireille Mems. Luca Sekon. Ming Yua Sha. To you.
So to the all master degree candidates, I say, auctoritate mihi commissa vos ad gradum magistri admitto omniaque iura ac privilegia ad gradus pertitentia vobis concedum et in testimonium hoc diploma vobis solemne trato. Congratulations to you all. We now turn to the granting of Associate of Arts degrees through two programs, the Bard Micro Colleges and the Bard Prison Initiative. It is my pleasure to introduce Megan Callahan, the Dean of Bard Prison Initiative, who will present the 2025 candidates who've completed the degree for Associate of Arts as prescribed by the State of New York and by the faculty and trustees of Bard College.
Astarian Beyonce Ambrose Smith. Ruth Patricia Arbaliz in absentia. Robin Baker in absentia. Abby Summer Bell. Melissa Ann Blumberg. Jason Brisman. Rosalind A. Bryant. Xavier M. Bullock in absentia. Venancia Colon. Angelic Colon Mercano. Sarah Dearborn Clark. Abe Delgado in absentia. Charlie Mahmoud Deeby. Naomi Marlene Diamond in absentia. Timothy Dixon. Joanna Dorsey in absentia. Paul Drab. Jeanette J. Ellis. Stephanie Diaz. Caroline Gonzalez Fernandez. Darren Gunter in absentia. Sharonda Hart in absentia. Jocelyn Hernandez. Keishabel Ibarra. Onyx Jackson Preston in absentia. Tasia Michelle Lewis. Serenity Lynn in absentia. Cecilia Lloyd. Karina Monique Lozada Hernandez in absentia. Peter Luciano. Christopher Malave Jr. Jennifer Martinez Myrick. Olivia Massonet in absentia. Sean Mejia. Brittany Mers. Aisha Murray. Aisha Njai. D.L. Newton. Arthur Pascal. Crystal Perez. Josh Pimentel Cardoso in absentia. Shahima Reed. Jessica Rivera. Nisairi Rivera. Arthur Roman. Alexandra Rosa. Griselidis Martinez Sachs. Brian Santiago. Natasha Nadine Ford Santos in absentia. Haley Jewel Sheldon. Christopher J. Smith in absentia. Alicia May Stanton in absentia. Anais Stacosa. Imani R. Williams. Elena Windley in absentia.
To the recipients of the associate's degree, I say auctoritate mi commissa, vos ad grado soci in artibus admito, omniaque iuri ac privilegia, ad vos gradus petitentia, vobis concedo et in testimonium, hoc diploma vobis solemniter trado. Congratulations. Now welcome Jonathan Becker, Vice President for Academic Affairs and Board Member of the American University of Central Asia, who will present the 2025 candidates from the University of Central Asia who have completed the requirements for master and bachelor degrees as prescribed by the State of New York and by the faculty and trustees of Bard College.
Which one? Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. So you may note there's nearly 700 graduates here today, but across the globe, if you look at the Bard Prison Initiative, the Bard Early Colleges, which are at 10 locations in 6 cities, Parama University in Myanmar, Bard College in Berlin, Al-Quds College of Bard College of Arts and Sciences in Palestine, more than 2,100 students will receive Bard degrees this graduation season. This is a very special group I'm about to announce. These students we honor now were students from the American University of Central Asia in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, which holds its graduation in 2 weeks. However, these students are from Afghanistan. Many of them made their journey from Afghanistan to Islamabad and then to Bishkek and then to the United States. And to show their determination to get a degree, they studied in the United States at night, 10-hour time difference, sometimes 11-hour time difference, to complete their degrees. As one student said earlier this morning, we choose to keep learning, we choose to keep hope for a better future. It is my pleasure, Mr. President, to honor these students, some of whom are getting BAs, some MAs, some certificates, some from Bard and American University of Central Asia, and some from the American University of Central Asia today. Without further ado, Jamila Ahmadi. Sana Amini. Maliha Arili. Manija Atayi. Amna Ayub. Amir Khan Babai. Mansura Bakshi. Tuba Farawar. Hamdam Farouk. Neptune Hashimi. Mursal Jamal. Sadika Kamran, in absentia. Ahmad Sajad Khalaki. Aisaya Nabi. Nargiz Payende Nake. Fatima Noor, Masiha Rahimi, Farkhunda Rasuli, Diana Saburi, Jose Sadat, Mariam Sadr, Hosna Siddiqar, Ahmad Shabir Sharuhi, Madina Wali Zarad Zada, Mariam Yari, Nazi Yusufi, Hafasa Yusufzai. And additionally, we have one student who made a similar journey from Bard College Berlin here, and that is Mustafa Mayar.
To these degree candidates, I say, Actoritate mihi commissa, vos argara magistri, in artibus admitto omniaque jura privilegia ad hos gradus petitentia vobis concedo, et in testimonium hoc diploma tibi solemnitraro. Congratulations. We now turn to the granting of bachelor degrees to the class of 2025. It's my pleasure to introduce the Vice President, Dean of the College, Deirdre Delbert. Now, these are the instructions you're supposed to follow. So go one row at a time and return to your seats. That seems pretty obvious. And this is a request, but no one ever obeys it. The audience is appealed to withhold applause until all diplomas are conferred.
President Botstein, trustees, faculty, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present the following members of the class of 2025 for the degree of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Music. These candidates have completed all the requirements for this degree as prescribed by the state of New York and by the faculty and trustees of Bard College. Ava Abate. Maha Abdul Wahab. Jean Abrahams. Oliver Keel Abrams. Ignacio Acevedo. Ariana Ahmed. Isabel Ulam Ahmed. Ayumikun Akinbankole. Shanique Rochelle Aladdin. Isabella Claire Amendola in absentia. Elias Sheridan Ames. Parween Amiri. Haley Catherine Andrews. Sage Aaron Arnold in absentia. Jamel D. Ash. Eva Rose Askew. Emily Erringer. Annabelle Wheeler Rose Axtell. Spencer Thomas Charles Azara. Merwarid Babai. Rachel Bacher. Elias Stephen Malouf Bachner. Oscar Bacchus. Aniel Barasarte. John Paul Barbagelata. Sophia Barbatsuli. Noah Felix Barbosa. Sergio Octavius Barnes. Peter Philip Berry. Jemuel Bartholomew. Athena Basin. Lennon Bass Jr. Leo Belsky. Evelina Benderska. Tommy Bennett. Lucy Mary Berger. Andres Rayner Berman. Neil Bhatia. Anand Bhattacharya. Caleb Blake. Andres Block Martinez. Brooks Blood. Abel Adam Bloodgood. Blossom Bogan Froze. Brian Russell Bowles. Stephen Bonacci. Camille Isabella Bordeaux. India Anna Borghese. Olga Borzhenko. Zara Boss. Alex Brown Boyott. Robert Owen Boyd. Mairead Boyle. Vion Bauza. Jesper Guevara Brady. Summer Joy Brady. Julia Fox Judd Branscombe. Parker Brelsford. Chloe Brill. Waleska Brito. Kiana Brizendine. Liam Broche. Eli Brosmith. Christina Eve Brown. Will Brumley. Nandor Barai. Rob Berger. Zachary Burmeister. Olivia Bazel. Monica Byrne. Ezra Calderon. Sky Elizabeth Caldwell. Isabel Kama. Robert Cambius. Reed William Campbell. Andrea Canedo. Mateo Cano. Victoria Claire Carden. Gabriel Andres Casa Ramirez. Regina Cassesi. Lyra Colley. Iche Chen in absentia. Yue Chen. Zi Chen in absentia. Sophie Sharif. Marianne Chipman. Nuka Chira Kadze. Sabina Maria Kiva. Aaron Choi. Naira Chopra. Sahil Chopra. Ronan Sipkowski. August Clark in absentia. Tess Kogan. Theodore Isaac Cohen. Mayerly Coliantes Cook. Luke Samuel Collins. Elizabeth Allen Connolly. Artemis Connor. Inga Cunningham in absentia. Freddie Coronel. Ada Cowan. Noel Crenshaw. Leo Shea Cronin. Anne Stratton Tylo Crowley. Zoe Dalzell Sexton. Patrick Daniel. Blanche Lorraine Dar. Tess Mankiewicz Davis. Honorary De Silva. Dana Debro. Danielle Luisa Maldia del Rosario. Alexander Dimitriadis. Reese Havana Dennis. Emma Derrick. Serena Elizabeth Diaz. Aaron Michael Dickinson. Jade Carol Dinkins. Christopher Dominguez. Foster Dowd. Olivia Catherine Dower. Sophie Maria Dubber. In absentia. Chloe Dufu. Samuel Cole Dumper. Mira Klingler Douche. Marcus LaRon Edwards. Maya Ellington. Bryant Richard Elliott. Sarah Rushan Enam. Lisa Aristave. Clemente Esponilla. Cole Charles Ewald in absentia. Chibuzo Ezwaquena. James Michael Famularo. Ahed Festouk. Sophia Fiaggio. Catherine Fitzgerald Kempf. In absentia. Brandon Flad. Hollis Martin Fluker. Fiona Murphy Flynn. Kay Flynn Murray. Sophie Foley. Chance Duke Ford. Bryce Fody. Olivia Fox. Julian Francho. Matthew Francoeur. Corey J. France in absentia. Artemis Ezra Jean Frederick. Nora Pachi Furlong. Margaret Juliet Ganton. Sarah Garcia Roth. Nora Geary. Cecilia Gincola. Ifeanyia Yane. Gabriella Goldstein. Nicolette Simone Goldstein. Martha Gomez. Aaliyah Goodman. Talia Isabel Grandinetti. Caitlin Aurelia Graves. Jeremy Nicholas Greenberg. Zoe Greenhouse. Eva Gretzka. Janaya Imani Ashe Grizzle. Samuel Hughes Grossman. Lucy Isabel Gunderson Klonsky. Zara Haidari. William Hollis. Glynis Hale. Graham Hall Keogh. Juna August Cherry Hanforth. Slater Gurvich Hannah. Connor Hardy. Menar Zainab Hashmi. Ezra Hawk Weintraub. Nicole Ariel Hazan Jepsen. William Harrison Hellman. Clemens Henning. Gavin Huntington Hersey. Lola Grace Hockenberry. Marina Isabella Holmes. David Hong. Catherine Ruth Hopkins. Meherin Hossein. Nasif Hossein. Verity Howard. Samira Hosseini. Maybe Ingram. Lee Ivanova. Nevea Beverly Iverson. Elizabeth Jackson. Paulina Elizabeth Jameson. Mohammed Nasser Jamshidi. Kelvin Jansen Chappell. Allison Jobin. Lavender Roy Johnson. Oliver Jocelyn. Ani Joy. Sofia Juan Ramirez. Maya Duhame Junkins. Nathan Kagan. Sebastian J. Kaplan. Paulina Kapustina. Zohal Karim. Solomon Samuel Karpati. Zoe Katinos. Maya Rahal Kelly. Aiden John Kennedy. Yasser Emmett Khan. Prayag Khan. Manur Kawaja in absentia. June Mabel Kim. Zoya Lulu Kirmani. Kayla Sadoko Kleinman Chang. Autumn Knight. Ivy Knight. Claire Sabine Koski. Dylan Patrick Kotlowitz. Lev Kotliar. Tinaz Kotval. Noah Ilan Kotzen. Martin Krasniqi. Joshua Krinke. Svetlana Kuharuk. Paige Lavie. Richard Peter. Yadril Valentin Lagunes. Graham Lauterbach Mason. Emily Lecomte. Senawa Leverance. Nicholas Rowan Levy. Eliana Numberg Levine. Guy Levy. Sophia Lee Sun Levy. Emily Elizabeth Lewis. Kayla Samaya Lewis. Bruno Licamelli. Jenna Licht. In absentia. Lucia Lifland. Anna Likanova. Yue Er Lin. Sage Liata. Henry Minchell Lipson. Silas Marie McKee Lloyd. Asher Julia Longden Stewart. Jackson Paul Lopez in absentia. Bella Liu. Lydia Liu. Israns Lubin. Joanna Lucchese. Lorelei Avalon Lusby. Cora Lynch. Michael Allen Lynch. Shuin Ma. August Beatrice McDonald. Jacqueline Mack. Amira Mayagun. Gwendolyn Malik. Rose Elise Mancuso. Maya Manta. Jung-Yi Mao. Hannah Lou Marsh. James Marshall. Esther Martell. Lucia Martel.
Are you the run? Is that you?
Sarah Brooke Martin in absentia. Veronica Martinez Cruz. Maya Martin Peterson. Rose Helena Muscati. Arezzo Masood. Miles Ethan Masters. Colson Matteau. Anya Matveva. Emily Ashling McCaffrey. Sadie Annalise McCann. Oscar Hugh McConnell. Astrid Grace McQuaid. Nadia Mehazabin. Ella Meal. Milla Rosemary Myman. Mari Victoria Mendez. William Menerick. Silvana Janet Merildo. Max Myers. Henry John Paul Millerzik. Lily Makita. Jasper Roger Charles Miller. Ruby Howe Miller. Ray Millette. Celestine Maeve Mingle. Ava Mitkovich. Zoe Walker Moganum. Amanda Montaldo. Havra Muchala. Juan Diego Mora Rubio. Gabo Moreno. George Maskapadakis. Maya Muchinayoto. Alessandro Musin. Lexi Mulvey. Isabella Jacqueline Mundy. Karina Monroe. Imani Ami Murphy. Ben Murray. Samuel Raja Mutter. Eddie Biombe Mwamba. Khan. Amelia Nani. Mujtaba Nakib. Jenny Bell Naramore. Mia Natelli. Jacob Silas Nathan. Grazia Nazari. Samim Sarabi. Lucia Rose Nehas. Madison Grace Newell. Olivia Mai Win. Fu Win. Elizabeth Mary Noonan. Edie Odegaard. Sam Ogden. Lena Faye Oldfield. Michaela Oppenheimer, in absentia. Emily Lorelei O'Rourke. Maddox Kassar O'Rourke. Sohana Oswald. Khan Ozelmas. Aranel Rojanic Paddock. Margarita Padua. Minhao Pung. Martha Pasatiampo. Maria Salinas Patterson. Justin Alexander Paulino. Enzo Painter. Julia Elaine Peltier. Jack Pelster Weeb. Samantha Leanne Perez.
Before we proceed to the next degree candidate, I want to point out that the degrees we give to our graduates from BPI, they complete exactly the same graduation requirements at the same level of excellence that other students here on the campus complete. They have the exact same program. So I'd like to ask all the BPI graduates to stand before we give the next degree to a BPI graduate.
Johan Perez. Ella Freya Perkel. Olivia Simone Peters. Eleanor Veronica Peterson Rockney. Maggie Payton. William Julius Pilgrim. Calvin Raphael Pineda. Esther Poquet. Izzy Popolizio. Sophie Prevelet. Beatrice Wynn Price. Vitu Put in absentia. Jalen Alexis Keely Zappa. Ali Munim Rajabi. Angel Ramirez. Yiva Raskazova. Ahmad Raouf. Dorothea Seiler Reams Henry. Samantha Jade Rehorst. Griffin Resnick. Clara Retzloff. Ruby Rhodes. Rihanna Ibascoriego. Bella Nicole Reese. Elizabeth Rose Riley. Leo Atticus Riley. Samantha Akina Roberts. Denise Irene Rodriguez. Jonathan Francisco Rodriguez. Jonah Rosario. Daniel Melvin Rose Levine in absentia. Simone Rosenberg. Austin Rowe. Morgan Ruley. Misha Rafael Saad. Esme Sachs. Najma Sayal. Zainab Safdari. Sushila Sahai. Josue Omar Salata Villasis. Marissa Salette. Aisha Sulman. Alua Samat. Sotoy Samir. Farida Sanandaji. Matthew Sanders. Farman Hossein Sayem. Sabrina Brienne Shetler. Silad Shroff. Andy Schultz. Lydia Lena Schultz. Maximus Schultz. Christopher Thomas Schwartz. Miriam Lily Schwartz. Sarah Scott. Quinn Seeger. Sava Sekulic. Sydney Sent. Nayeli Paola Sekara Sugurov. Harper Lee Seringer. Ahmed Shafee. Elene Shamanadza. Hansen Shang. Samuel Ezra Shields. Celia Shin. Queenie Tsa. Quinn Semitis. Forrest Simon. Emma Francis Smith. Fiona Terry Smith. Scarlett May Sobo. Anna Elena Adams Soklovaska. Yongshin Sung. Sarah Sonmez. Precious Asosa Star. Lydia Jane Stouffer. Nelson Wyland Stevenson. Andrea Stetson. Audrey Sujiria. Tema Summerfield. Rowan Bowman Swain. Zeno Adelaide Zala. Enlik Tagasheva. Roma Tatewood. Ivan Alberto Tamayo. Rue Tarantino. Clement Austin Tarpey. Tara Jo T. Toshna. David Noel Taylor Demeter. Magdalena Teisler. Colin Terrian. Margaret Appleby Thomas. Chiharu Thompson. John Timoney. Callum James Tinker. Logan Andre Redfield Tondini. Patrick Stephen Toohey. Vera Topsik. Sadie Madalena Torre. Sharzad Majtabia Townsend. Maria Tretiakova in absentia. Gloria Von Lee Tucker. Juniper Uchuya. Oliver Rodman Vanderplug. Remy Van Giem. Ian Vangano. Eli Van Natta. Alex Varney. Lily Vaughn. Francisco Augusto Verestagi. Ananda Luz Vidal Bergi. Yarisa Villarreal. Alexander Fitonov. Alex K. von Schmeling. Henry Wandover. Ishin Wang. Vincent Wong. Diana Wardak. Louis Watson. Chase Wayne Duffy. Miles Gabriel Wasmi. Olivia Wingate Weeks. Mia Gail Time Weiss. Morgan Tian Tian Wen. Ross Sebastian Werner Winslow. Annie White. Bridget Rose White. Ham Cockett White. Sean Wilcox. Miala Simone Wilkerson. Ashanti Odell Wilkins. Giovanni Ashari Williams. Mark Anthony Williams Jr. Jennifer Santos Wu. Ethan David Wood. Ijie Yin. Adele June Yokomitsu Malden. Grace Beth Yoon. Hannah Yoshikawa. Ya Yin Yu. Mara Zaki. August Zegowitz. Pamela Jung. Yimeng Zhou. Zizi Zheng.
All the candidates for the bachelor's degree, please rise. Actoritate mihi commissa vos ad grados baccalaureae in artibus et musicae admitto omniaque iura ac privilegia ad vos gradus petitentia vobis concedo et in testimonium hoc diploma vobis solemniter trado. Congratulations to the class of 2025.
Congratulations. Congratulations. May God give you the grace never to sell yourself short. grace to risk something big for something good, and grace to remember that the world is now too dangerous for anything but truth and too small for anything but love. God bless you. Amen.